Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, people? Good morning. It's another beautiful day that the Lord has made for us. What's going on, Tom? How you doing, brother? You can go ahead and click the link if you want. There isn't anybody here yet. Usually takes about a minute. I'll say hello to people when they get here. You clicked it and it didn't work. Oh, there. You're right here. Hold on. Let me. I know. Let me push the button. Hold on. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, and got me all backstage all by my lonesome back there.
Well, usually this is the crazy part, right? Is usually when you click the link, right, it'll give me like a green dot, like where it says guest, and then like I'll push it and there'll be somebody back there, usually a troll, but this time but this time but there was no green dot, so I don't know. Maybe there's something
just
crazy going on.
just a little delay is all.
What's going on, AJ Blunt? How you doing, my brother? Are you able to see the chat, Tom, at all?
Yeah,
Is there like, oh, okay, good, 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 good. So that way you can see people when they come in. There's like six people in here or something like that. So
I'm only
it's
showing
actually
me and the Blunster right now.
in the chat, but in the room, the number goes up or whatever on the. There's like a Illuminati looking eye up there, and then there's a number next to it. Everything's got to be with this crazy symbolism everywhere. You know, it's always some kind of eyeball or some kind of mark of the beast or some kind of what's the other one? A triangle or whatever. It's always something.
Always, always. It's unbelievable. And you can go back when you start watching old commercials or movies or cartoons, how it was in there. I mean, just decades ago. It's unreal. Once your eyes have been open and you see and can recognize this stuff, it's just crazy how far back they've taken this and how
Oh
long
yeah,
we've been dumbed down to it to before we've actually started to see it.
and songs too, man. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
it seems like every song is about God or against God, right? And there's even songs about like how much of a fool we are to believe in the ball Earth, and you know what I mean, like the Beatles, right, with that one song, "The Fool on the Hill." Watches
right.
the sun going down, but in his mind he's spinning round and round and round. They're making fun of us, man. Like,
Well, I'll tell you what. Do you remember when we did that one video a long time ago where we had all like the lyrics to some songs and the one all seeing eyes and all that? You
oh
remember?
yeah,
And well, I remember telling my mom about the music and stuff, and she goes, "Well, what about like Neil Diamond? Because that's one of her favorites." No, I can't remember what song it was, but I went and found a song and I sent it to her. I said, "No, you go listen to this and you put it up with lyrics because in YouTube you can put, a name Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds with lyrics, and it'll show the lyrics so you can read them. Because knowing
yeah,
them is one thing, but when you actually read and see what those words are saying, it
yeah,
blows your mind." And when she did that, because I mean, even I needed to do the Neil Diamond for myself to see, because
yeah,
they're all like that. I mean, they might have say they have 8 songs on an album. There might only be one of the songs that has all that in there, but it's going to have it in there.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even like what was that? Oh, that song from REM, right? Like "Man on the Moon," right?
Right, right,
If you believe there's a man on the moon, or like any so like there's so many songs against the devil, especially a rap, right? Like against God, right? It's just like unreal, right? And then like I remember I read in Jude, right? There is well, of course there's Hey Jude, right? But I read in Jude, right? There's a term, a phrase, aqua seafoam shame, right? Which you would never hear those words all together anywhere. It's just like wineskins, right? Like you only hear that in the Bible, right?
right.
And it's in one of the Nirvana songs, right? But if had I not read the Bible, right, I would never have known it. So like even like inconspicuously everywhere there's always something that's biblical that like normal people would miss, right? Because they don't read the Bible. But if you read, you catch it everywhere. I mean,
Well, look,
everywhere.
do you remember that one cartoon? The guy's name was like Simon Bar Jonah or something like that.
Mm,
It was
you
oh
have to refresh my
well
like
I haven't seen it in so long, but the guy was like he might have been like a little short fat guy. It was a cartoon. He probably had a black eye or something like that. He was always getting in trouble or he was always trying to steal or something like that.
did he like draw like on a chalkboard and like
Yeah, yeah.
things came to life? Yeah, yeah. I know what
I
you're
mean,
talking about.
Simon Bar Jonah, that comes out of the Bible. Bar Jonah.
Oh my God, it's crazy, man. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely crazy, man. And
You'll
it's
see a
like,
lot of names like that.
and every time there's like some kind of like underdog matchup in college
Mm.
football, David versus Goliath, you know?
And that was the cartoon was Underdog.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Oh, Underdog. I remember Underdog, man.
Yeah,
Now I know
that
what you're
was it,
talking
man.
about. He was a dog with like a letter U on his chest, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Whatever happened to those good cartoons, man? Speaking of devil crap that from when we were kids, you know?
They didn't
It's
grow up
it's
quick
so hard
enough.
because like you think of some of that stuff like as good memories, right? But now knowing that it was there to erode our brains, right? It's almost like you almost have to be in a certain amount of denial just to be able to live with it, right? Like
Right,
it,
right.
it because if we really saw everything for what it really is, like everything was a weapon against us, believing in God, right? It would be it'd be unbelievable, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think them cartoons back then, I mean, they had that stuff in there, but it was just like everything they do to us, it's slowly over a little bit at a time, so there's just a little bit of leaven in there. And then as, people get accustomed to it, they just increase. So where finally they can just put the big bang on you. I mean, you
Oh
look how
my
many people
God.
fell for that 911 incident. You know what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
mean,
I mean,
to be able to pull that off and have 90% of the world believe what actually the narrative to that is
well,
absolutely ridiculous.
what I can't believe, right? And I think that there has to be some kind of level of witchcraft involved now because I was in the military. I was a young guy, so I was like 20, 26, maybe 25, and uh, when it happened, I believed the narrative like right off the bat what they said. But if you think about what happened, it's impossible, man. Like all that stuff is impossible. There's no way on American soil someone could take three airplanes, man, and crash them into buildings. There's no way.
No.
Like,
Hey,
like I can't believe I believed that, man.
yeah, that John Lear, he even said he did a flight simulator and he
Yeah,
he he holds more pilot licenses for different aircraft than anybody else in the world. And
yeah.
even in the flight simulator, I don't think he was 50-50 of flying a plane into the World Trade Center and actually hitting it. I mean,
It's
because
just
I mean, it's a lot of skill. I mean, actually to find it for one, and then control it to where
yeah.
you can. I mean, this stuff's not easy. I
You got
played.
to be able. You got to be able to get the plane first, and then be off course for that long, right? And so they would have intercepted that
Well,
crap,
it's not even
dude.
all that. I mean, let's just put all that away. Just being able to take it and fly it and actually hit something, it's not an easy task. I mean, computers
Right,
do 99% of all the flying. I mean,
right.
rarely do
So it would
they
have
don't even
been
really land these things themselves. Sometimes they will just for practice to keep kind of in tune, to keep their
yeah,
skill set up. But and he said most pilots couldn't even do the flight simulator to take a and crash
a
it into one
wide
of those.
turn like that. Yeah,
I mean, it's a
I
lot
mean
more complicated than what we realize.
that's what makes me believe, right? Like there was never any aircraft involved at that at all, man. If there was, which I there wasn't, right? It was
Right.
drones or something, right? Like because like there's no absolute. You're right that like that one on the second plane when it made that big U-turn. There's no way, man. There's no
Right.
freaking way. And
And the
then
one that hit,
especially in the Pentagon, no
yeah,
way, man.
because you can't
Yeah.
keep it off the ground that low. You never could. You never could come down. I mean, it didn't even stir up a blade of grass.
Well, did you? Okay, so like, okay, just before that happened, right? There was some chaos going on about the election, right? Because the Florida hanging Chad, all this stuff, right? And then 2.3 trillion dollars went missing the day before. Donald Rumsfeld came out and said it was missing from the Defense Department. Now, if you've seen the hole in the side of this thing, right? And I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was not even as big as a missile around, you know?
Right.
Like it wasn't that big. Like how do you only hit like the building that like where the money is being counted, you know? Like I don't know, man. This all of that was how did I believe it? How did I buy that?
Yeah, I
And
never did.
well, see, I not only did I believe it, right, but I believed it for about another 3 or 4 years after, you know.
Yeah.
And then when the very first movie I saw was in 2007. I can't remember what the movie was called,
Loose
but
change.
it could have been that. It could have been that. And I watched that, and it was about like something about like the people involved with the security, people who own the building, the
Related
insurance they
to
had.
mooses.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's what happened. Like I owned it the first time I saw the movie, and then I just left the truth community, right, completely after that, right, until Flat Earth. Like I didn't go look into any other conspiracy, nothing. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, they did this, right?
See, I was
And
lucky at that time because me and my buddy Pat were into figuring out learning the Bible codes and how to do that. So just a
right.
few weeks prior to that, we had cracked some codes where we knew a major event was coming. We didn't have it down to that. We figured it was going to be they were going to do something with the crops in California, but we figured something out where a major event was happening. 2 weeks
Wow,
later, that happened. You know, and we weren't
that's
good enough
unbelievable.
to narrow it down, or it was just we only been in it for a few days or maybe a couple weeks trying to do this stuff. You know, but so I mean, I knew right away. And anytime any event happens, the first thing I do is I go start looking for videos of people who get stuff out showing you how fake it is in the crisis actors and like the Boston bombing. I mean, it took 3 seconds to see how fake that was.
What was I gonna say, man? I just lost what I was gonna say. Let me read this comment real quick.
Sure.
Cold Springs Queen says the key is not that you believe the content. The government has been training you to believe anything they say just for your whole life. You're right. Like they do teach you to believe their narrative, right? Like this is what's always crazy about that army training, and you were in the military too, Tom. It's like how they train you to like um first they like wear you down, talk all kinds of crap to you, right? Get you to feel horrible, right? Then like when you do something good, oh yeah, you did good there, soldier, right? And then you perk up, you know, oh what, so I'm getting some attention, right? After they just beat me down for 2 weeks, right? And then so like every little thing you do, they're building you up, right, their own way, right? Like so whenever like they come up with a narrative, right, you're like, oh yeah, that's what happened, yes sir, you know. And it is like brainwashing, man, totally like brainwashing.
Think about
But
this. They brainwash you to go to another country to kill innocent people that's done nothing to you, and you accept it, and you're proud to do it. Now, if that
yeah,
isn't brainwashing at the highest end, I don't know what is.
it is, man.
I mean, they use keywords hero and things like that, superstar. I mean, things that make you feel good or proud, but that they're not sending their kids to the front lines.
Well, you know, it baffles me, right? Because it should be obvious that these people at the top, right, are all working together because of all these, you know, G8 meetings and UN meetings and all this stuff. You see all these countries at tables making deals with each other, even during like war situations, right? You know, we're making like we're sitting at like energy, you know, when they do like you know, they're creating some kind of new energy, right? China and America are making deals on that, right? But there's apparently, you know, uh, um, animosity, right? But when the wars kick off, right, it's only the citizens versus the other citizens over a political thing that the top is arguing about. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so they get us to fight each other. We don't even know those people. You know what I mean? And half of those people are better men than I know in my real life. You know, they're
Right.
probably just like me. You know, and they get you to feel like you're the hero and you're going to go free the world. But in real life, like the countries are terrified of us showing up over there. They're terrified. They
For sure
probably
they
hate
are.
us.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
we kill them. We kill innocent people by the millions and
it's
don't even bat
unbelievable.
an eye. What do they call them? What type of casualties do they call them when that happens?
When it's
When you
the
accidentally blow collateral
collateral
damage.
damage.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, really? I mean, and think about this. Everyone's always up in arms about Israel defending themselves. They're getting missiles lobbed into their country every day. Just think if that was happening here, what we would do. Just think if someone was lobbing nukes or not, let's not say nukes, but missiles every day into New York or into California. What do you think our response would be? We take them right off the map. Why can't other
Oh
countries
yeah,
protect themselves the same way? You know what I mean? No, they got to always come
absolutely.
up with peace treaties and give up more land.
I mean, look, I try to tell my kids this, right? Because I'm trying to teach the kids that don't trust the government with everything. Don't just line up to get whatever medicine they have for you or whatever. And I said, listen, like we live in the real world, man, where like every 30, 40, 100 years, right, people with guns have to fight, right, for freedom, man. We get suffocated by. Not everyone can be Shakespeare, man. Somebody has to be Rambo. You know what I mean? And we have too many Shakespeares right now walking around thinking that there's no Rambo time, and it's Rambo time, you know. And I'm trying to explain it to the kids that just in history, right? If you just look at history, you can't trust anybody, and that you got to make every decision, right? Don't be in the middle of the herd in this world, right? That you better recheck your position if you're in the majority, you know.
And don't be a follower either. I mean, learn what to follow or what to lead. I mean, if you want to just be a part of the majority, it's just going to get you taken down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh yeah, and look at what Rob was saying. Like, if space was real, right, by now, shouldn't they have a 24/7 live stream camera, TV on the moon pointed back at Earth? Of course. Well, here's one way you know that the moon mission was bullcrap, right? Is if you're on the moon, right? Are you gonna really take a million pictures of the moon? Or are you going to be looking at the Earth, man? Like, oh wow, look at the Earth! The Earth is amazing. You could see the moon from the Earth, dude. Like like that's nothing new. But like seeing the Earth from the moon, that's the thing that you don't see. You know?
In the one thing, you would never see the entirety of the Earth either because the
Yeah.
Earth is too big. But I think they have one shot of it supposedly where you see the whole thing, and I don't even think they were on the moon yet. I think they were like halfway there. That's when
Yeah.
he got caught with that cutout faking it.
Of course. You know.
I mean, it's
Well.
just like if you were to take a ping pong ball and a basketball, and you move that ping pong ball at 2 inches away from the basketball. Um, hang on. I
Hey,
mean,
you're
you
not
see the
going
whole
to see
ping
it.
pong ball if you're on the Earth, but if you're on a ping pong ball, you only see a portion of the Earth. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
the difference in size. And the picture they show that's only when they're only halfway there has the entirety of the Earth in it by a long shot.
It's unbelievable, man. They had this one shot, right? They're standing on the moon, right? And they're watching Earth rise, like the sunrise.
Yeah.
And and this thing was like the size of like a quarter, you know. You're like, whoa, why is that thing in the sky looking like the sun, right? When it should be 4 times the size of that, or 8 times the size of the moon, right? But it looked like it was the size of the moon, but it was the Earth, you know.
Hey, let me
You
ask the
know,
chat something, Steve, real quick. I'm
yeah.
just wondering if anybody was outside this morning and seen the moon out there, because that moon looked like it was only a foot off the ground. I
Oh,
mean, it was
really?
unbelievable how low it was, and it's only a sliver.
Well, I wish I would have known. I would have went out and saw it this morning.
It was insane. I mean, that thing wasn't from my perspective driving into work. It wasn't even as high as a water tower.
Hannah looks at the moon. If she's in here, maybe she's seen it. Has
And I
anybody
look at
seen
the
the moon?
stars steady. I look up at night like every time I'm outside, and PJ, my little Illuminati dog, he has to be out every 10, 15 minutes chasing his little sticks. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always looking up and seeing what's going on up there. But this morning, that moon was incredible.
Yeah. Well, Cold Springs Queen says it looks like a Cheshire cat's grin. That's what she said the moon looked like. I don't know what that is.
I ain't sure either. She's got
What's a
something on us.
what's a
she,
Cheshire cat's
she got
grin?
something on us we don't know.
I know
Something
it. I
clean,
know it.
cold.
I'm
The
probably
queen got
saying
to come
something.
clean.
Right. Some troll's gonna cut that out and me saying that. It's gonna be something nasty or something, you know.
I'm
But I
sure it's
don't
the type
know.
of a cat.
Yeah, just like a sideways grin or something like that. I don't know.
But so at Cold Springs, I take it you saw the moon this morning.
I don't know. I guess so. She says she's maybe. Let's see here. He's a character from the old Disney cartoon Alice in Wonderland. The cat
Oh,
disappears, but the grin was still floating in the air. You know who would know about that is Pete Shea, man. I haven't heard from him in a while, man.
man, yeah, a
It would
long
be
time.
wild to have him on again, but like I'm really tight now about like I only have Christian people on now because it just got too far out, you know. It got too far out, you know.
Yeah, Pete Shea, he
And
was pretty knowledgeable though. He was,
smart.
yeah, he was on a bunch of stuff. I mean, he said some stuff that might be a little over the wacky end, but you never know. I mean, I don't know some things for sure. You know,
He blew my mind one time, man. He was describing like just the narrative, right, of the world, right? Just how complicated it would have to be to line up with like gematria, to line up with the Bible, to line up with like all these things had to line up and in all these different languages, right? And it blew my mind, right? And then he goes, yeah, now think about like life, like biology or heartbeat, all that stuff, right? And I'm like, oh my god. I said our creator is amazing. And he goes, you better believe it. And I'm like, wow, me and Pete, like that's a moment right there that me and Pete shared, you know. Like that we agreed. We don't agree, I guess, on the creator, I guess, but because I don't know what he believes, man. It's pretty wacky, and I still don't understand it. But I know it's Aristarchus, but then he told me that Aristarchus was not real, and I agree with that. So I don't know what he was saying, you know. But yeah, that Aristarchus, I mean, he said that about a million times to me, and I still don't get it, you know. But anyway, anyway,
yeah, he's a great mind, that's for sure. I mean, it's nice
yeah,
having people like that in the truth movement. I mean, just because you don't accept everything someone says, I mean, that
yeah,
doesn't mean you don't have some great content. It's just like people who might have a problem with Dubay. He's got some
yeah.
great content. If you want to know if the earth is flat, you'll get it from him. I wouldn't take any biblical advice from the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? By no means. But
Well, I agree with you on that because it's like this, right? It's like 99% or 90% of the world is not a Christian person, right? It's like it's so overwhelming, right?
right.
That it's like where are you gonna find these Christian people that you can trust? You know where? You know what I mean? Like there'd be like five people, you know, in the
Dude,
world. You know, it's like where I don't even know any Christian people that do Bible channels that I even trust. You know, so
that's what
you're gonna
yeah.
have to hunt and peck. You're gonna have to hunt and peck for stuff. You know,
And that's what I was gonna
and
say too. Find a Christian that you can actually sit down and really discuss stuff like this. No one
it's
wants to
rare,
hear it.
Tom.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
and that doesn't mean they're not born again, but they sure
yeah.
ain't w- are not wanting to really learn or grow. Everybody's just stalemated and is
Yeah.
very frustrating for me. Because
Well,
like
there.
all of us and probably everybody in chat, for the most part, you feel alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're a truther, right? And you can't
Right,
get anyone to listen to you, right? And you're just like, wow, man. And then you start wondering, man, is my family even saved? Like
right.
I know they believe, but that I don't feel that spirit in them like I feel with other people. Like I know not everybody's got to have it all, right? But like, or no, that's not everyone's job to know everything. But like, you start wondering, like, who's real and who's not, you know?
You know what? Like,
And people come to me, right, Tom, and they go, hey, don't you notice that this person's doing this symbolism or this person's doing that symbolism? Like, yes, I see every minute of every video that people in my chat do, right? I see it all, right? But in my heart, I know that their heart is still soft, and I don't know if they're saved or not, but I know that they can be, you know. And so, like, yeah, I still have patience for people that normally people would say, "Oh, yeah, you're doing some mark of the beast or one eye stuff," and cut them off, right? I'm more patient than that. Okay, you can hang around a little bit, and hopefully you get it, you know, because maybe a miracle will happen. You know, you never know, right?
Right, right. No, and that's like one time when I was talking to my mom about Christmas and how pagan it is. Like the one thing just, and I seen her think about it, but it didn't affect her to change her ways about what she does for Christmas. But I said, one of these days, just think if you had one of your little grandchildren or great grandchildren over and they ask you, Grandma, why don't you do this? And you could actually tell them the truth, and maybe that could, when they grow older and had a family, they could pass that truth on to their kids or family and friends and stuff to break that, because tradition is a killer,
Yeah,
you
that.
know?
Yeah, of course. Well, they program it in, right? This is where I'm trying to piece it together, right? And it's impossible to put it like 100% together, but like what I've pieced together is that they get your parents to, like, oh yeah, these Disney movies are wholesome, like, and you watch these Disney movies when you're a kid, right? And you're looking at all this witchcraft stuff, right? And then your mom tells you about God, probably, and your mom tells you about, like, Santa Claus and all this stuff, right? Then you go to school, right, and you find out from your friends, oh yeah, Santa Claus is BS, man, blah blah blah, your parents lied to you. Then you lost your trust with your parents, right? And you're already on this witchcraft path, right? You're like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is what's real, you know. And then, they teach you science and all this crap, and dinosaurs, big lizards, all this crap, right? And and you don't know what to believe, man. You're so mixed up, right? And you're standing still, nothing's moving, but they're telling you you're flying around, and making all these circles and all this crap, right? I mean, it's like they discredit your family. They get you to not believe your family, and then when they add their own traditions into your family, your own parents add them back to your life, and it's their stuff, not even, you see what I mean? They get your parents to tell the lies to you.
Well, it's like this, Steve. One of the few good memories I have as a child is we had one of them little projector slides, where you put the little slides in and you just click a button and it goes around and shows you pictures. And
Yeah.
we had one of those, and it was all different pictures of dinosaurs. And as a little kid, I thought that was cool, seeing all these different dinosaurs and all that. And so I don't know why. I mean, early on in my Christian life, I didn't believe in dinosaurs. I mean, I was able not to believe that, and I don't know why. Because I think back of the indoctrination I was getting, and of course, my parents didn't know they were indoctrinating us. It's what they believed, you know.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
like, and that was like a cool, good memory, sitting around and got the little sheet out probably to display the pictures on, of all
Yeah.
these little dinosaurs, and it's all a hoax. But that's how far back this stuff goes. As soon as they could get images in your mind, you know, to where you believe the lie, I mean, it's there. Like someone was saying, like little kids when they're in their crib, you got that little mobile up there with the little stars and the sun and moon, and right off the bat, before a kid can even really cry barely, they're already being brainwashed and programmed.
It's just unbelievable, man. Like, how did they get the first people to believe this crap? Like, I mean, it had to be, right? Like, people knew the truth, but how do you slide in the BS, man? I mean, I guess if there's no TV, right, and there's no mass media, the only thing that they could really control is books, right? And if people, all they had was a Bible, and then you slide these books that, oh yeah, this is what the world is, this is what we think the world is. Maybe you can get tricked by that because you're like, oh yeah, they wouldn't have a book if they weren't, real people or something, right? Like maybe
Well, look at
books
the
were,
books. Not only did they, mess with the books, they even took a lot of good books out of the books. I mean, I
yeah.
think there's a lot more books that should be in that Bible. I mean, I really believe Enoch should. in
Yeah.
Jasher.
Well, Enoch and Jasher, to me, when I read them, it just sounds like scripture. I mean, almost identical. In fact, identical, to be honest. Like, the only thing this is the only problem I have with that, right? And I do believe that Jasher and Enoch are true books. Like, I believe that they're true.
Because they're
But this,
mentioned in the Bible
absolutely,
by book.
absolutely, and the account of Abraham and Isaac, right, in Jasher is identical to darn near identical to the one in the Bible anyway. And
Right.
so but this is where I have a problem, right? And maybe you can help me out. I don't know, but like if we're saying that books can be taken out, right, then it's hard for me to believe that God has no control over the books, right? That people can just corrupt it, and there's got to be some kind of rules to it, right? Where God is
There is.
ultimately in control,
Yes. Yes.
like the devil can't just pull whatever he wants out and write whatever he wants in there. Like
Correct.
maybe there's a minimum amount that we're supposed to have, and
Yeah.
maybe that's what the canon is.
Yeah. And let's face it, we still have access to these books. It's up to us whether we buy them and read them. You know, I mean, how
Yeah,
many people, when you talk to about the book of Enoch, will say something negative about it who's never even heard of it before or ever read it?
yeah, they got to read it first.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I had one
like
family member tell me about the book of Enoch. Well, I was going to get it, but it had such bad reviews. So I told him, well, what kind of reviews did Christ get?
right, right.
I mean, you know what
Well,
I'm saying? You have
that's
to be
the
able to
worst
have
excuse,
answers.
right? Yeah,
Right.
that's the worst excuse is to say it had bad reviews. You got to look at it for yourself, man.
And, and ask them who wrote the reviews? What was their motive behind it?
Right.
And they can't
Oh,
answer that. Then they just look all dumb. Well,
well,
Christ's reviews are so bad, they crucified him, they tortured him, they
my
beat him
favorite
for hours.
my favorite is when people argue with me about flat earth or dinosaurs or whatever, and I forgot more about dinosaurs than they'll ever know, right? and
Right?
and then they're like, oh yeah, well, scientists say this. We're like, okay, well, name a scientist, one guy, just name
Right.
one guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, name a paleontologist.
Well, I love the
right
answer
now.
though, Steve, on that. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know. Well, then
yeah, they don't
what are
have
you?
any clue. Yeah.
Yeah. So why are you running your pie hole?
Yeah, right. Why you gotta run your mouth, man? I'm trying to teach a class here, man.
Get some Oreos and milk and shut up for a minute and listen. Learn something.
Well, well, those guys, man, in those comment sections of these flat Earth videos used to suck up so much of my time, me trying to argue with them, right? And then it just got to the point where I was just like, you know what, man, I'm not your teacher, man. It's out there. Go. I don't care what you believe, man. It's flat. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like whatever, no matter what you believe, independent of your belief, right? It is flat. So good luck.
Yeah. And I'll
Or
tell you what, anyone
yeah,
just, I don't care about anything else on flat Earth other than you can't show me the curve. Even though there's like a billion
right.
different evidences, that one I can't get past. Show me
Yeah,
the curve and I'll change my mind. Just
yeah,
one
because
legit picture of the curve.
there
Just
has
one.
to be one. Like that's the problem. Like in order for it to be a ball, there it has to be curved,
Has
right?
to.
And don't show me this boat's going down this escalator and tell me that it's they're going over a hump or something. God, that's crap, man.
Nope, because you can zoom in and it comes back flat again. Uh-oh.
Exactly. No,
Yeah,
exactly.
oh. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
So show me it. All you got to do is that simple. And like I always tell people too, we go to the moon every other day. They claim, we got all this technology up there. We got these bases up there. Just take a picture, like you say. Turn on the camera on. Take a picture of the Earth, just one. That's all we need. Don't need 100 of
yeah,
them. Just give me
it's
one
amazing.
legit. That's not photoshopped, and I'm in.
Or because a lot of these people, right, they're like narcissists, man, and they're like all smug with their intelligence, right? And from figuring out equations their whole life, right? And you're just like the best question I've had to ask them, right, is okay, using your full intelligence, right? Are you telling me that the Earth is not flat? You're telling me it's a ball flying through space using your full spectrum of your intelligence, right? Your full abilities. I don't know, man. They still say it's a ball, man. You know who like is the worst, man? Like, and I used to like kind of stick up for him was Mick Toon or whatever,
Oh,
but he's the worst, man. And then he says he's a Christian, And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, you're not a Christian, man. Get out of here, man, with that. He's the
right.
only one that I've ever said that to. Because I don't know, right? Who am I to know that, right? But when someone just comes at you for like 5 years after hanging around flat Earth, right? And then still gives you the same old crap that it's not true, or that they think I need help, psychological help or something. He's acting like he cares about me, right? And then he wants to get me help. I'm like, how could you hang around this for that long and still believe what you believe? That's bull
Right.
crap, man.
And
You're a liar. You
and
know
the
what I
one
mean?
thing, yeah, and the one thing, flat earthers should remember is just a couple of the different speeds that we're actually moving. Because I mean, just if you just say we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, I mean that really, I mean we've known that since kindergarten, so that doesn't like isn't a wow factor. But when you start putting in how fast we're going around the sun and then flying through the galaxies and all this stuff, and then tell them now convert that to how many miles a day we're traveling in space. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
when you got to go a little bit deeper on some of this stuff, but just ask them, how is there no wind? How do we not feel that? We're going at millions of miles an hour, and you
In a
feel
circle, like like there's built-in acceleration in a circle. You
right,
can't. It's like you can be going straight in a car and I guess drink a soda or whatever, but if you're always turning, you're going to be pulled to the end, right? You're like you will feel that. You have to. It's part of the motion. There has to be consequences to motion. you
right.
know
It has to
there
be.
yes, it's just like if okay, it's like if something moves between me and like an object moves away from me, there's spatial consequences that have to happen. That thing will get smaller, or whatever, right? Like you can't have motion with no consequences at all.
Dude,
Like
when you exhale, if you're actually close enough to someone's face, they can smell your nasty breath because they
right.
can feel the air you're breathing out. I guarantee
Yeah.
you that breath isn't moving at 1,000 miles an hour.
No,
You
man, get
you
out of here.
you know what I'm saying? But yet we're
It's
spinning, and that's just one of the motions.
Well, the thing that got me, right, and this still gets me to this day, right, is they're like, okay, when a helicopter, right, is hovering, right, they're saying, right, that the atmosphere is attached to the earth and dragging the helicopter, right? The air molecules are dragging the helicopter not only 1,000 miles an hour, but faster because it's higher than the Earth, so it has to go a faster circle, right? A
Well,
bigger circle. That's impossible, man. Air is
and think about
dragging it.
this.
Get out of here, man.
And think about this. Think about a plane going down a taxiway and has to turn around to line up. Just think with those winds and those speeds we're moving, because if it's going in one direction with the current, it's going at 1,000 miles an hour while it's still on the ground. Now it's going to have
Right,
to stop and turn around, and then it's going to have to take off with the wind in its face at 1,000 miles an hour. How is?
right.
I mean,
Or
really? That's
or
the
my
cold hard
favorite
facts.
My favorite is when they're saying, what was it? Conservation of momentum. Like when a plane takes off, it has the speed of the earth with it. Well, what happens when that plane makes a U-turn up in the sky?
Or lands on a
Like,
westwardly path.
right? It's so dumb, man. At some point, you're like, come on, guys. Like, it's not even a debate. It's like this is undebatable. What are we doing here?
You don't
Can't we
even
just
have to give
admit
them.
that we were lied to?
Yeah, and you don't even have to give them a formula for it. Just picture it in your head. You're going to land on a north-southbound runway, and you got a side wind of over 1,000 miles an hour,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
unbelievable.
spinning. So now you got to keep lining up. You got to be flying that plane sideways at least 1,000 miles an hour to keep up with that runway as it's moving away from you.
It's
You know what I'm
unbelievable.
saying?
Yeah,
And
it's
going
crazy,
forward.
man.
I mean, hui,
I know it, man. Well, and I try to explain it like, cause my family are like, oh yeah, well, how come for thousands of years and nobody said nothing, and now all of a sudden people are saying something. I'm like, Mom, look. I said, look, when computers came out, in the '90s, the
right?
internet didn't get real good until about
2000.
2008, nine, right, when everything was on the internet. Like YouTube when it first came out was like cat videos and whatever, right, some jokes or whatever. But I mean, to have everything on YouTube, right, for public scrutiny, every episode of Facts Alive, all that stuff, right? It was like 2008, 9, 10, something like that, right? So by the time 2007 rolls around, you meet a genius in like 10 or 12 spots, right? They come together and scrutinize everything, and they're, hey, this doesn't match up, this doesn't line up, this doesn't look right. Oh, these people are faking it. Next thing you know, you figure it out, and then you pass it on to it just keeps trickling down, right? And I tried to explain it to them that way, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I don't know, man.
Right, because
Scientists,
then
they're
you
all
just
about new discovery or something, you know."
yeah. And but the good thing they figured out how to keep astronauts safe in space because they give them a snorkel now.
Yeah, snorkel, yeah, for the water, you
Oh
know.
my gosh.
I'm like,
And
how
people
that?
dude, and people buy it.
Oh
People
my god.
you know what I'm
They
saying?
lap it up. They lap it up, man, and they buy all the shirts and all the the toys. And I think my stepbrother, right? He got like a Saturn V rocket for Christmas. I couldn't even go, man. I couldn't even go to Christmas, man. There's no way, man.
Right,
Now,
I
if
don't
if
either.
if, if I have to go this year, right? Because I don't celebrate nothing anymore.
Yeah,
I
me
don't,
either.
right? I didn't
It
even celebrate Thanksgiving. My mom wanted me to go up there, and I would have for her. I love my mom, of course, right? But like I'm like, oh, I just don't really feel like going up there, and she like kind of let me off the hook, and I'm kind of happy. I mean, I don't want to do these things, but
right.
especially if you're going to give some guy a Saturn V rocket so they can talk about moon stuff, and I'm not allowed to talk about my conspiracy stuff because they're always saying, oh, well, don't talk about your stuff when you're here, blah blah blah, and that's horrible, man.
Well, I was just
People,
telling my buddy that the other day.
well,
It's sad that when we can't spend time with our family and talk about the deep things, they wanna keep talking about the weather. I'm past
yeah,
that. I don't want we're too deep. There's too much going on for Christians to be worried about the doggone weather and if everything is okay. Because no, everything's not okay. How
they're
about let's get a mature conversation. Let's get off the baby milk. Okay, I don't need
yeah,
any formula anymore. I want T-bone. I want mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing. That's what I'm here
yeah,
for, a full course meal. And it's time, you know, Christians start talking like that. And,
yeah.
you know, yeah, the whole thing about
90% of the world, Tom, is they listen to some crap on the news, right? They repeat it in front of their friends, act like it's their own idea or their own point, right? And they pick a side, right? Oh yeah, I believe this about the climate. Oh, I believe that. It's just something they heard on the news. It's nothing new. It's just parroting. Everybody's parroting in some routine. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that they're teaching sexual crap to our children at school. Like,
like
we
really
should be
little kids.
outraged. Yes, we should be outraged about that. What is going on, man? Like this is happening right now, and
Well,
we
I'll tell
like.
you what, I mean, and when I look at this as a parent of two daughters, if that would have, they would have tried to pull that crap when my kids were in school,
I would have went
my
crazy.
wrath would have come like unbelievable. And it's time for people to start realizing that they're not going to school, they're going to indoctrination camps. And it's time to
Yeah,
get your kids out of school, get them in home where you can actually teach them and train them,
yeah.
and give them some foundation to grow and build on. Right now, all they're doing is getting dumbed down,
It's
period.
unbelievable. It's just absolutely. They're being trained to accept whatever's going on in the world. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and round out, my brother.
All right,
Thank you for
bro.
coming on, man. Man, 40 minutes goes by fast when you come on. We could probably do 3 hours. If
It's
this
been
is
about
all we
10
had to
minutes,
do,
man.
yeah, if this is all we had to do, right? Like we'd be able to do 3 hours in the morning, be easy, man.
Like
But
nothing.
it is what it is, brother. All right, I love you, man.
Love you too, bro. Everybody in the chat,
Um,
man. Peace out.
praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace. That's everything right there. That's our whole world, right? And all glory to God, right? The number one celebrity in the whole world. And pray for the children. And I'll see you guys at 5 p.m. tonight.
Peace out.
Peace.